Hi, I'm Irving. Welcome to Kato. Oh, right. What do we need him for again? Oh, yeah. Welcome to Kato and Money Guy. We begin with one guy dead and another working on opening a wall safe. But before he can finish, the guy doing the safe, not the dead guy, police arrive. As they approach the door, they see a man running away.
All right, get your hands up. Put a light on him. Axford?
At Britt Reed's place, Frank Scanlon has some bad news.
I'm sorry, Britt, but the butler didn't make it. It's first-degree murder now.
You think Mike is a killer?
I don't know what to think. The evidence seems to indicate it.
Evidence? What evidence? Except Mike happened to be in the neighborhood.
And tried to run from the police. And take a look at this.
Mike wrote an article about the owner of the house in a magazine. Scanlon comes up with 4 more articles, all followed by burglaries totaling over $1 million in loot.
Somebody's been using these interviews to case those homes, and I think that Mike Axford is in it up to his neck.
Has he met Mike Axford? The guy can't fix himself a bowl of cereal without burning it in the blender. This is his great criminal mastermind who's made off with over $1 million so far?
Now, what were you doing at the Linden place tonight? Like I told the cops, I got to figuring. After the other homes were knocked over, I guessed the Linden house would be next. I was going to stop it.
It wouldn't occur to him to point out the pattern to the police and have them stake the place out, of course. That doesn't have enough potential to go sideways. All other things being equal, Mike will choose the option most likely to get him in the most trouble.
You used a photographer. Who was it?
Forget her.
Her.
She's clean.
Well, so are you, Mike, but you're in custody. Now, who was it?
But I've known her since she was a kid.
The name, Mike.
Artis Ralston.
Her dad was one of their photographers. He says she's doing the same thing. She's good at it and a sweet kid.
I'd better finish packing now.
Interesting way to introduce this sweet kid that Mike took under his wing. She and her boyfriend are using Mike to commit these robberies, but she really does like Mike. She's upset that butler got killed and Mike got blamed for it. Boyfriend assures her he'll get Mike off the hook just before they leave town. He won't say how. That night, the Green Hornet and Kato break into Artis Ralston's apartment to find it cleaned out. But the phone is still hooked up and it rings.
Yes?
Yale, this is Tubbs. I've got to see you.
Oh? What about?
Yale? Is that you?
Tubbs is the biggest fence in the area, so he's the one moving all this stolen loot. Time to pay him a visit. Meanwhile, Tubbs calls Yale at an air terminal of some kind. He's nervous and wants out. Yale won't let him.
Tubbs getting nervous. You two get over there and give him a tranquilizer.
It always amazes me when these small-timers like Tubbs can't see that coming. The Green Hornet gets there first.
Evidently, this gang has approached some fence to get rid of its stolen jewels and...
Not me. I swear.
You don't have any information about the operation. You don't know a girl named Artis Ralston.
No.
You don't know a man named Yale.
No.
You're lying.
But it really doesn't matter because he already did what he came to do. He heads back to the car to listen to what happens next.
Yale, the Green Hornet was just here.
The Green Hornet?
He was asking about you, an artist. I think he wants to move in.
Well, he might be. But don't you worry about it.
What do you mean, don't worry? With the Green Hornet trying to move in, that settles it for me. I'm through.
As a matter of fact, Tubbs, I was just about to call you. I'm packing up everything and getting out. I'll be on my way in a couple of hours. When I'm gone, nobody will find me. So you just relax and take it easy, you know. Goodbye, Mr. Tubbs.
The pawn shop.
I'm also amazed that the Green Hornet didn't see that coming. They listened to the phone conversation that the bug recorded, but it isn't telling them much until Britt gets the idea to listen to the number Tubbs dialed. The dial on a rotary phone worked by sending electrical pulses through the line, and if you listened carefully while someone was dialing, you could count the pulses and get the number. He comes up with a number and calls it.
I'm sorry, sir, but the number you're calling is of Barton's Air Express service.
Guess where our next stop is? He leaves Kato outside in the car and sneaks into the hangar where he finds some of the stolen items.
Kato, do you read me?
Loud and clear. Do you want me?
Not yet. We've come to the right place. I've located some of the loot. I'll check further.
If it was me, I'd leave that thing on so he can hear just in case. Those guys wouldn't even be mildly amusing for Kato, but they overpower the Green Hornet, beat him up, and lock him in a room. And since you saw he dropped his sting, he has no way to get out. And when they had him stunned and nearly unconscious, I want one of them to explain why somebody didn't yank his mask off and find out who he really is. Isn't anybody in this city curious about that?
Let's get out of here.
What about the rest of the stuff?
Forget it. The Green Hornet never travels alone. His man's around here someplace.
A bad guy who recognizes which one of them is the real threat. That's different.
I just heard on the radio that Joe Tubbs is dead. Murdered.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it now. And about Mike Axford.
Look, honey, I haven't got time to stand here and talk to you all...
Don't honey me, Yale. You had no intention of helping Mike.
Okay, so I lied.
Then I'll go to the police myself.
When has that ever not gotten the person in more trouble than they were already in? He has his men drag her to the plane and they fire up the engines. In the storeroom, the Green Hornet has recovered enough to call Kato.
Get back! I'm using this thing.
We're getting away. We have to stop that plane.
Get behind the plane, use a rocket on one of the landing struts so it can't take off.
Faster, Kato. Better use the rockets.
We can't. The girl's the key to Mike's cell.
He didn't say blow the plane up, hit the landing gear and disable the plane. Or how about this? Got a machine gun in that thing? Blow the tires out. Minimal damage, maximum plane stoppage. Instead, they get in front of the plane and start blowing out a smoke screen while gradually slowing down so the plane can't reach takeoff speed.
Let's leave the rest to them.
It turns out Yale owned that air freight company. He's going down for killing the butler and Tubbs, Mike Axford is exonerated, and he's back to work.
I still can't figure out how the DA got a line on that gang.
Well, why don't you ask him, Mike?
I did. And he just grinned and said a little bee told him.
You mean a bird, don't you, Mike?
Scanlon said a bee.
He goes straight from there into a rant about the Green Hornet, but can't begin to imagine what Scanlon meant by a little bee. This is the guy Frank thought was such a criminal genius and behind all this stuff.
Somebody's been using these interviews to case those homes, and I think that Mike Axford is in it up to his neck.
Mike Axford needs a map to find his eyeballs first thing in the morning. That was the only part of this episode that really gave me trouble because Scanlon has got to know better. Other than that, it was a good story, the pacing was decent, and it's always nice to see Lynda Day George. I like that her character was basically a full participant in the gang, at least until someone got hurt, and only had a real change of heart when Mike's life was on the line. So she's not off the hook and she knows it, but she has to do the right thing for Mike no matter what it costs her. The character grew that much in 24 minutes and it was as natural as could be. That proves it can be done. Do more. Until next time.